The way we look at a soil profile, look at those changes in colour first. So this profile has got a nice dark layer, which we call an A1 layer, down to about 15 centimetres. Then it's starting to lose that darkness and go into more redder colours, down to about 30 centimetres. And then once we're dropping below that level, down to, we're starting to increase in those what we call mottling. So that mottling's an important indicator of the wetting and drying of that soil. So the colour is that iron oxidation. So the brighter the colour, the more oxidation, and the duller, the more into grey colours means there's more prominence of waterlogged conditions. So, of course, waterlogged conditions are not amiable for root growth, but we do see roots running right down that soil profile, and that's an indication to me that there's no impedance to root growth and they're seeking water at a great depth. Now that could be, when we've textured this, we've got sandy loam up to about 30 centimetres, and then we're increasing to a sandy clay loam. So that texture and that structure is quite good, lots of good drainage. So it indicates the drainage, and maybe because of the texture, that they're during the drier months, it's a challenge for water availability. The water availability in these surface soils will be quite low. The water availability will be a little bit better in that with that sandy clay loam, but it's still not substantial. So those roots are seeking deeper into that profile. But when we get down to deeper layers, when we're getting down to below 70, we're starting to get into the decomposed granite. They're not well structured down there in that subsoil, so it tends to take on water and swell and be quite puffy. Not a problem down there. Sometimes if they're closer to the surface, that's when we start bogging tractors in winter. So it will swell and take on water, but it's obviously not a lot there. That whole soil profile, if we did a water holding capacity, is fairly low, medium to low, and so it's not going to sustain pasture growth much through the summer months. So the main constraints are the water holding during dry periods, but there's no impediment to root growth. So as long as you look after that surface soil and don't try to compact it if it's too wet, it should be fine for optimum pasture growth. But the other constraint, when we see this nice line here, this is how we've put some indicator on, and we've dusted it with the barium sulfate. So this will give us our field texture. So this is showing that pH is highly acid all the way down that soil profile, fairly uniform, around 4.5. So if we went and had a laboratory test of that soil there, that 4.5 was probably more close to 4, or maybe a little bit less. So it's a very acidic soil profile all the way down. So what's the problem with that low pH? It's going to be nutrients. And okay, it's a bit of a balance here. We've got low water holding because it's sandy loam, well drained, but the low clay content means there's low nutrient content anyway. So the low pH indicates that of the nutrients there, some of them could be either not available or tied up. But the most important thing with that low pH is particularly with the sandy loam, you're not going to just go and throw lime on, but probably look at the most important aspect is the available aluminium. That's most important because some pastures will fall over with with too high an available aluminium, but so if you've got that high aluminium, you need to amend that. So the pH is a good indicator of those nutrients, but as I said, it's quite a low nutrient holding anyway. Nutrient water is fairly limiting. So I would be just looking at the exchangeable or available aluminium just to judge if you're going to put lime on there.